What is going on, everyone? Today we have the 2019 Mazda 3 Hatch. Fully redesigned for this year, the hatchback and the sedan both. They have a new mission, new personality. It's more premium than ever, and it's got some impressive features. Can't wait to show it to you. We're gonna do a full detailed review of everything, cargo area, the engine, the interior, and then we're gonna go for a test drive. Let's get started. The Mazda 3 sedan and hatch are fully redesigned and they represent different personalities, and this one is all about the hatch. We have new trims, the base hatchback Mazda 3, preferred package, and the premium package. And right here we have the top end premium package. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Please hit subscribe down below for regular weekly reviews, but let's get started on the exterior right here. So starting out up front, every single Mazda 3 hatchback is going to give us LED headlights with an LED daytime running light. And our model has the LED signature lighting because it has the premium package. You can also see we've got an LED turn signal. This also gives us adaptive lighting. So the adaptive front lighting system is definitely pretty nice. These headlights look nice at night. The actual performance of the headlights at night is really good. So when you turn the wheel, you've got the headlights will actually turn in the direction that you're moving. And then one thing unique about the hatchback is we get the black finish grille. I really like it. I like the piece that is typically chrome on other Mazdas that runs under the headlight into the grille and underneath the other headlight. And this front end is just low and aggressive. Let me tell you what, this is pretty mean looking up front and I really like it. So this color we have right here is the polymetal gray mica, and this color is very unique. It looks so different in different lightings. It looks darker, it looks lighter, it looks bluish, it looks grayish sometimes. Sometimes it even looks a little bit matte, but it does have some shine to it. And it's just a unique color, and it's really grown on me, and I do like this color. Also with the styling, Mazda went with a smooth, large rear pillar, an aggressive front end. This is the Kodo design language. It's the single motion form. And I'd love to know what you guys think of the design of this Mazda 3. So personally myself, I like the front of it. I like everything from like the middle of the car to the front. The back pillar is still growing on me a little bit, but it's not my favorite looking at it from behind. So every Mazda 3 hatchback actually gets 18-inch wheels, and these tires are fairly low profile. Our model actually gets the black finish for the 18-inch wheels though, and all of them get 215/45 series tires, and then vented front disc brakes, and solid rear disc brakes. We've got turn signals on our mirror, and our blind spot controls are in those as well. And on the preferred package, since you get memory seats, you get memory mirrors as well. And in reverse, the right passenger mirror will reverse tilt as well. It does have the smart key system, which I'll show you in a little bit. You can even see the little trim on the bottom. So some more aggressiveness from this Mazda, and it's really smooth. There's not really any sharp edges or dramatic lines. It's kind of a smooth motion, like they said it is, a single motion. Now, one thing that is controversial with this Mazda 3 is now it still has a front independent suspension, but it's got a torsion beam suspension in the rear instead of the multi-link independent suspension. Multi-link is known to being better as just a better suspension setup, a more premium, a better handling, a better riding suspension. But Mazda said that it was easier for them. There were less variables and it's easier to fine tune. So they felt like this was the way to go for their car. Me personally, I think it was just a way to get cheaper. But we're going to talk about that in the test drive and exactly how this performs, how it drives, how it handles, all of that. Now, even though this car looks like it's really low, which it is, it seems to look low, its ground clearance is still 5.5 inches. So that's not terrible. It's about what you'd expect for a car. So those of you worried about it being low, I haven't actually scraped on anything or had any problems with that whatsoever. And it's 175 inches long, about 8 inches shorter than the sedan model. And then we have this black rear spoiler up here, kind of matches the trim on the doors. And this is the all-wheel drive model. I'm so excited about all-wheel drive on here. Now, one thing about this rear end is it's really sloped down. It's like a little tube back here. Honestly, it's not necessarily my favorite at some angles, but I think it does look nice at some other angles. We have a dual exhaust tip system right here. Those look pretty nice. And then we have LED combination taillights and the signature lighting on the premium model. So Mazda really upgraded their safety stuff this year. Standard now is a bunch of features. We have the blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert, smart brake support, which is automatic emergency braking, driver attention alert, that's new, radar cruise control with stop and go on automatic transmission models, lane departure warning with lane keep assist, automatic high beams, rain sensing windshield wipers, and new for this year, they provide knee airbags as well. And then the premium model will give you radar cruise control on the manual transmission. Despite the shape of the rear of the Mazda 3 here, we still get some pretty good space, and our lever to open it is right underneath of here. If you have the key on you and the vehicle's locked, you can still open it with the smart key system. Now behind here, this load floor is a little bit higher, or at least this part is, but the floor actually sinks down a little bit and you get 20.1 cubic feet back here, and it's actually a pretty good size and fairly deep. Right up above, there's a grab handle for you. There's no actual automatic or power lift gate, but you can lock it as well once you leave back here if you want to. Plus, we have this cargo cover that is removable, which is nice to have. Now you can fit some suitcases and stuff in here pretty well because it's kind of a wide, boxy floor. Its height is not the greatest once you have the tonneau cover or the cargo cover and the lift glass, but the surface area of the bottom is really good size, and it's low enough to be able to accommodate some taller things and things won't move around. There's also a cargo light on that side. There is a spare tire under here that actually does have a little bit of insulation in there as well. Every model gets the spare tire. And then you can reach forward to fold these seats down. Let me do that from the back seat. And then just to show you once you get the seats folded, so first of all, the passenger seat is far enough back to where that will not go back. And I actually had to kind of wiggle mine to go down on that side. Of course, you can adjust your headrest, but it still gives you a nice flat load floor, so still a pretty usable functional cargo area for this hatch. Every single Mazda 3 hatchback, even the base model, gives us the smart key system with push button start. Now it's an interesting key fob because we have our buttons on the side. You've got your panic, your lock and unlock, pretty basic. No hatch opening function, of course, like I told you, no power function, but the key fob feels nice. I think I prefer this compared to the last model, and it's still slim and fits in your pocket pretty well. I also prefer this system because it's got the actual sensor instead of the button that you have to push. So to lock it, there's a little line on the door. You can do that, or you can slide your hand behind here and open it just like that. And then once you shut the door, it can automatically lock, or you can have it set to when you walk away, it will automatically lock as well, and you won't even have to use your key fob or touch the door. All right, gang, once we get in the front seats, we've got some new things in here. So first of all, even the base model gets leatherette material, and it's not even cloth. And Mazda now even gives you a new grayish leatherette color. We have the red leather interior in here, which is exclusive to this Mazda hatchback. Even though the seats on the base model are leatherette, you still get a leather steering wheel and a leather gear shifter. Once you get to the preferred model, you get heated seats. You've got 8-way power adjustable driver's seat with lumbar support. You also get 2-position memory settings. Then once you get to the premium model, you get these red perforated leather trimmed seats, which are pretty darn nice. They have good bolstering, good cushioning. They're not too hard, not too soft. They've got decent bolstering around your sides. My only complaint though is that the headrest seems to be a little bit aggressive when I like to kind of sit up tall. It's not adjustable, and if I move it up higher where I technically should have it, it's even worse because of the curvature. So I feel like my upper back and neck has been a little uncomfortable in here, but I'm sure that I'll get used to it. It's not as bad as some others that I've been in. And another thing that the premium model gives you is this head-up display. It's projected on the windshield. No longer do you have the actual flip-up display. It'll even show you your blind spot, your speed, your cruise control, all that good stuff, and it's just really nice to have. It's convenient. You don't have to take your eyes off the road. Now, a couple things some of you might be expecting in this car is ventilated seats, and there's no ventilated seats whatsoever. And the passenger seat is all manual, no power adjustment, no lumbar support on this one. Moving to the interior of the new Mazda 3, it's got a modern design, premium materials, a sweet red interior, a driver-oriented cockpit to feel connected while you're driving. Exactly what Mazda was going for, and I think that is shown with this cabin. Now let me give you a quick run through of the interior. So first of all, you've got nice materials everywhere on the door. This is somewhat soft. It's not as soft as some others, but nice soft material running through there. Soft on the side of your arm, soft armrest right here as well. That is a little skinny in the back, so if you sit further back, there's not a ton of elbow support, but I've been okay on here. All windows are automatic up and down. You've kind of got a nice looking speaker grill over here as well. And it's a completely through door handle, so you can't stick your phone in there. But you've got nice storage bins down here. My large big bottle fits there, and there's even a smaller storage bin right here. Right on the inside, you've got your safety button, your traction control, and you've got your memory seats right there. Plus, you've got a tiny little softly lined storage bin. And shutting the door on the Mazda 3, the door slam is pretty solid. It kind of matches the premium feel that you get in here. We have a black headliner in here, and then let me show you the interior. So there's a combination of materials, mostly nice materials right up here, kind of a sleek design. I don't know if I'd call that tablet style, but it's kind of close. It's a little more integrated into the dash. And let's go ahead and start it up. Push button start right there. Now, Mazda's steering wheel is still a comfortable steering wheel. Different design that we have here. Our buttons are, I think they're better than they were last time. So you kind of have a toggle here. You can push directly on it. You've got your button to scroll through info on the screen. And then you've got your cruise control settings, distance settings over here, and turn it on and off right there. And you still have some smaller sport grips right up here on each side. And then right in the middle is something new for the Mazda 3 that you saw on the other Mazdas. We have a combination of digital and analog gauges. So the one right in front of us, the speedometer, is actually digital and analog on the sides. I am a fan of Mazda's 7-inch display right here. You've got the instantaneous mile per gallon on the left and the fuel gauge on the right. And you can actually change it so it just shows a number instead of a gauge. And then with the info button on the steering wheel, you can scroll through the information on here. And there's not a ton of detailed information. I wish there was more. That is one thing, but it gives you everything that you need. There's no audio, there's no phone, stuff like that. So it's kind of a minimal distraction type of display. And as you see right there, 29.5 mpgs. I was actually getting about 30.5 before I started filming and kind of sitting around idling, moving little bits here and there. So pretty good miles per gallon overall for what it's rated. I just wish it was rated better. One thing to note is that just our premium model here gives us these paddle shifters, and they're pretty small, they're plasticky, but they're usable. And then Mazda has rain sensing windshield wipers that you can access on there by leaving it on auto. And then as we move across the dash right here, of course we have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto standard. Another thing that's standard is this 8.8-inch screen, which looks pretty nice. It's somewhat integrated. Let me know what you guys think of that. From my line of sight, about right here, I don't really like how high the dash goes up. Now, it doesn't necessarily impede the view, but it almost just kind of seems and feels like it, and it sticks up, it pushes down. So I don't know, it's just a little complaint that I have right there. This is not a touch screen. It is far enough away to where you can't really touch it anyways. You can, of course, but it's not going to do anything. And Mazda basically wanted a distraction-free driving experience. So when you are driving, you have to use their command system that I'll show you in just a second. Another thing standard is HD radio and an 8-speaker sound system. Once you move up to the preferred package, you can get the 12-speaker Bose system, which is pretty nice. It sounds nice, and Mazda actually put some research into the placement of the speakers and the woofers. And they have the woofer placement so that there's less rattling. There's less door rattle, dash rattle, all of that. And then you've got Sirius XM on here as well. And if you want navigation, that is an option, or that's only optional as an accessory. So when you use this command controller knob, the knob itself and the volume knob both feel of higher quality than the last one. The last one felt maybe a little cheap. It's got a little wobble to it, but you can spin it, you can depress it, you can move it sideways, forward, up, and down. You've got a navigation shortcut, a back button, home, and audio. Then your volume, you can seek left and right, turn it off and on, and then hit your favorites, like if you've got favorite stations right there. So now as I scroll through some of this, I am on the Mazda's navigation. There's quite a bit of information that you can see on here. You can check your fuel efficiency. You can even see which cylinders are being activated or deactivated. It's a pretty interesting system. I mean, there's quite a bit that you can see, and you can even watch it while you're driving. Entertainment, of course, you can scroll through all of the available things here. And then communication, it's gonna, if you hook up to Bluetooth, otherwise with Apple CarPlay, of course, you have that. Navigation, like I showed you. quite a bit that you can change with the settings, from the actual car to the display. So in-vehicle displays, if you want to adjust your driving display, you can do that here. The actual screen, and then the instrument cluster display, where you can change from type 1 to type 2, whereas you can see kind of the buttons right there, or the volume, not the volume, the MPGs and the fuel gauge can be different if you want. And then Apple CarPlay works good in here. You can hit the home button and then just tap over to the right, and it will automatically go right to it. And you still use your command knob to scroll through this type of stuff. You can use Siri as well. So I like the way this works, but there's a couple things that I don't like. So for example, when you go to seek, whether it's, you know, down there or on here, if you're on a Sirius XM station, it will just rewind. It will rewind or fast forward. It won't actually seek to a next station. So once you kind of have lived with the car and you've got your favorites and everything the way you want it, it's easier to use, but there is a learning curve and kind of an adjustment period compared to a regular touchscreen. Then once you shift into reverse, whether you're moving the steering wheel or not, you still don't have dynamic lines for your backup camera. Dual zone climate control is standard. You can have it on automatic. You can sync it up with your passenger. The materials feel better as well. You can use all of these buttons to adjust what is needed. Got 3-tier heated seats. And I'm surprised we don't have a heated steering wheel here in our top model. I was definitely kind of, not necessarily bummed, but just surprised and shocked. There's no ventilated seat option on here. You've got one USB port right there. There is a storage bin down here. It's kind of sunken in, so some stuff is somewhat hidden behind your cup holders, and you can fold the cup holders down. And then the cup holders, I prefer this position better than the old one, because the old one got in the way of the command controller and it was kind of right in front of the armrest. If you have smaller stuff, it's going to fit in there just fine and not really impede, but your little storage area is just a little bit impeded. Now, my least favorite part of this interior is not the way this looks. I think this looks nice, but just the amount of piano black on here. There's already some scratches and some scuffs on here. If you can kind of tell, you can see them much better in person than on the camera, and it's just a fingerprint magnet. So it looks nice, I think, this whole layout, but it's kind of it's just going to probably not look very good in the future. And then the solid command knob, your electronic parking brake, which actually I can't figure it out. It automatically turns on every time you put it into park and shut the car off. So you have to turn it off every time. Auto hold right here, so you don't have to hold the brake, actually fairly convenient. And then this soft armrest is long and it's wider than I was expecting for any car in this class. It's very comfortable, it's very soft. You can slide it way back, you can lift it up. You've got the optional wireless charging pad as an accessory. Another USB port right here, a 12-volt power outlet as well, and just some pretty nice size storage. The air vents over here, I actually sat over here to kind of see if this was efficient, and in my opinion, it really wasn't that good, but it's been relatively hot here in Texas. I just think that these are better placed closer, a little up higher to the passenger, but I think they do okay, and I kind of felt the same way with these. They look nice because it's curved with the steering wheel and it blows right at your hands. So like wintertime, for example, hot steering wheel or cold steering wheel, it's gonna help you cool that off, but I don't seem to get quite as much at my face or cooling me off as I was hoping for. So a couple small complaints with that, but we have a soft opening glove box right there. Pretty decent size. And then right up above, we have the frameless auto-dimming rearview mirror that has garage controls as an accessory. Actually, ours doesn't have garage controls, but you can get one with garage controls as an accessory. Sunglass holder right there is actually kind of small, which is you know, for anybody with bigger sunglasses, you might have trouble fitting them in there. The visor has a slide out piece right there. And then we've got the vanity mirror and the light. And right up above, we have our moonroof as well. And then in terms of visibility, not too bad up front. The pillars are pretty small. The side pillars, not too bad. But of course, by the shape of this car and the way it looks, the back pillar is pretty big. The back window is pretty small. So something that you'll have to look at and see if you can get used to, but with your mirrors positioned right, the blind spot monitoring, it's not too bad. Now getting into the back seat, for some people might be a little tricky because this roof line is pretty low. Now I've heard of some people complaining about the legroom in the Mazda 3, but I'm 5'9", and when I sit behind myself, my knees still don't touch. I'm real close to this outer portion right here, but right behind my seat, kind of in the seat back, there's a little cutout. So there's a little bit more room, and my foot room is actually not too bad. One complaint is that there's no air vents and there's no USB ports back here. So something you might want to consider, there's 2 USB ports right there and a 12-volt power outlet, so you could get power sources from there, but there's literally nothing back here, and there's actually a pretty big hump in the middle. I'm not sure if the front wheel drive has a smaller hump, but our all-wheel drive model has a pretty big hump right there. One nice thing though is your backseat passengers do have a nice folding armrest with a couple pretty good sized bottle holders. And when I'm sitting up tall, I can feel my hair touching because my hair is just kind of poofy right now, but my head is not actually touching. So people 5'10", 5'9", probably at the max, can sit back here. The seats themselves do not recline or scoot forward or backwards, but they don't really have to, and it's a hatchback, it's not an SUV. Now under the hood for the 2019 Mazda 3 and Mazda 3 Hatchback, we've got the 2.5 liter Skyactiv G 4-cylinder engine. The Skyactiv X that you might have heard about is not currently available in the US at least. This engine right here is direct injected. It puts out 186 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque, and that torque comes out at 4,000 RPM. And now, big news for this year is front-wheel drive is standard, just like last year, but now we get all-wheel drive available on any trim level on this hatchback. Mazda continues to stick with their 6-speed automatic transmission. That's the Skyactiv transmission. A manual transmission is available only on the premium model for the hatchback. Our particular model right here is the all-wheel drive, and our miles per gallon is going to be 24 in the city, 32 on the highway, and 27 combined, lower than I was expecting. And then front wheel drive, 26 in the city, 35 on the highway, and 30 combined. All right, everyone, thank you so much for sticking around for the test drive of this Mazda 3 Hatchback. So it's been a couple of days since you last saw me doing this video, so I've been able to spend a little bit more time with the car, and even right away, my first impression of the car driving it was that it feels very premium. It just feels nice. It's got a solid feel to it. Now, right off the bat, I like to get a little acceleration run. All-wheel drive, of course. Pedal down. No wheel spin whatsoever. The engine sounds nice. The transmission was smooth going through those gears. And it's a pretty quick car. It's not a fast car, but this is not, a performance-oriented vehicle. In fact, I think Mazda, just like the Mazda 6, they want something that never feels underpowered, but their main goal, from what I think, is to offer something more premium. And this absolutely meets that. So the ride and handling, it's kind of a big controversy with the torsion beam suspension back there. It's definitely something that a lot of you are bummed about, but I still think this ride's really nice. In fact, there's a kind of a downfall. The handling still feels pretty good. This does have Mazda's software system where it's got the G vectoring. Ride comfort, it's a little stiff just on regular pavement, but it honestly soaks up some big stuff really well. I've hit some potholes that I've hit in other vehicles, and this soaks it up pretty darn well. I've never really had that big of a problem with any Mazda vehicle of absorbing bumps and stuff, but they can have a little bit of a stiff ride. This does have a little stiffer ride than I would expect for the class. One of the big improvements that I noticed with this compared to the 2018 Mazda 3 that I was in is the noise, vibration, harshness. The NVH is drastically improved. We don't have laminated glass on the side here, but Mazda went with some different techniques and extra insulation to really quiet this thing down. And my decibel rating on the interstate was under 70, which is always good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put it in manual mode and use the paddle shifters. So right off the bat, let's get a little brake torque. and it'll let you rev it out. It certainly does. The paddles aren't lightning fast, of course, but holding fourth gear going around the corner here, and it's definitely playful. It's a playful car. It hugs the corner really well. There's a little bit of body roll, but not much. And the car actually, I put it down. It was holding the RPMs around 3,000 to 4,000, and it's still downshifted. So it's not a completely independent manual mode, but still a fun car. Definitely still good acceleration. I'm gonna put it in sport mode, automatically drop me down. Handling is still very good. This honestly doesn't feel quite as sporty as I remember with the other Mazda 3 with its handling. Maybe that has to do with the suspension, but you probably won't honestly know the difference between that torsion beam and multi-link unless you're pushing the car. Brakes are good. The brakes are a little bit softer initially, which seemed to kind of be a common theme with some of the Mazdas. It's honestly more of like a natural feel, but once you get used to it, the braking performance is still good in this car. I've never had any troubles with it. Okay, so I have it in sport mode still. Little brake torque. $60. So it took a little bit. I think it's technically clocked at about 7 seconds. And with my fat button here, it's probably gonna slow it down to 8 in my driving skills. But anyways, it's quick, it's fun. And when you look at other cars in the class, this has a completely different feel, a much more upscale feel, and that's what Mazda was going for. If you don't want a big car, if you don't want something expensive like even a lower end luxury car, you can feel luxurious in here, especially with the layout, the way things look, the way things feel, how quiet it is, how well it handles, and you still have good power out of this engine. Now I'm just turning onto a rougher surface, a rougher textured road that is kind of loud at times. It's like a gravelly road, and you can probably hear some more road noise, but it's still well contained. That's what I'm most impressed with, is how much quieter this is and how much more solid this feels. Mazda did an excellent job of that, and you don't get that in these compact economy class cars. I haven't had any rattles. The vibration is well contained, and just the noise in general. So after driving this around for a week, I've been comfortable. I complained a little bit about the upper back portion of the seats, but I got used to it. I still think I wish the headrests were adjustable a little bit more back and forth, but I've been comfortable in this car. It's felt like, it feels like it just doesn't feel like a compact class type of car. It just has a much more upscale feel to it, and I've appreciated that. So if you're gonna compare this to the Corolla hatchback or Civic hatchback or even the Subaru that's all-wheel drive, first of all, the Subaru has all-wheel drive. That's one thing, but it gets quite a bit more MPGs, but it's not gonna be as quick, at least the model that gets better MPGs. So it's kind of a little give and take. You have a strong base engine in this car, which is fantastic, but you sacrifice with MPGs. I mean, 32 miles per gallon on the highway, but in some highway driving that I've done, I think I got maybe 33, 34 miles per gallon, but it was going 70 or so through the DFW Metro. So you can get decent MPGs, especially if you're nice on the throttle. But this car doesn't necessarily, I wouldn't honestly probably cross-shop this with those cars. It just seems to be a little more premium. So I'm a little confused as where Mazda is going with this, because it's technically still in that class, and the price point and the feature set that it has, it just depends. If all you want is an appliance, a basic car to get you from A to B with good efficiency, then you're probably better off with something else. But if you want to enjoy your drive, if you appreciate the attention to detail that Mazda does, a little more power, a little bit more fun, this is an excellent option. So in conclusion, thank y'all so much for watching. I will have a 5 likes and 5 dislikes on this car coming out soon after this video. I also have a 2018 Mazda 3 sedan video, and hopefully I can get the 2019 sedan soon. A Mazda 6 video, so be sure to check those out, and even a CX-5 if you would look into that. So thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you next time.